Hello, my name's Dov Benyaacov Kurtzman, and I'm sitting here with a great friend of mine, Loraine, Otoo, and we're sitting in Royal Exchange Square again at the theatre.
Hello, Dov. It's great to be back, and I'm really looking forward to our conversation, see where it leads, and whoever it can touch.
Absolutely.
That'll be good.
And we were just sitting here talking before we started the recording about the possibility maybe of going around the country and talking to people, and maybe getting, old town hall meetings, getting people in a room and seeing, having a conversation with real people. As you mentioned, we're so much online these days, and we've got, it's all digital and virtual.
Yes.
Actually getting in the room, I find it, even with you, we could easily have done this online.
Oh yeah, there's not a problem.
But the fact that we're sitting, in the same room with each other in such a beautiful location, makes a difference.
We're actually engaging, aren't we? We're engaging. We're giving eye contact. We're speaking. So we become more aware of our body, the language, our expressions. Where it's so easy to sit in front of a computer, to press a button, no one sees you, what you're doing, and if you're doing the virtual thing, somehow it takes that realness away from it. You look at some of the games now people play. It's like they can buy a house, they can buy a car, they can design and everything else, and I think, but it's not real.
Yeah.
But they actually think it's real. I'm saying it's not real.
Right.
Why don't you do something where you can take that into the real world,
Yeah.
what you're living in a day, and create that? And sometimes the amount of people I've spoken to don't think that's possible somehow. So there's something in hiding behind this virtual reality.
Yeah.
And why is it named virtual reality anyway? Because it's not real.
That's right. And it might have its place, and we can't turn the clock back, and it's really part of our living, the way we live now. But I think we have to be careful not to throw the baby out with the bathwater, as they say, and say, look, okay, so we've got lots of modern technology, and if it's used for the good, then it can be good.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean we have to give up human contact. It doesn't mean we have to give up those skills of conversation, skills of interaction, skills of how to be in the same room with another person.
Yes.
And I think we are losing those skills, and I think we're becoming much more distant, even when we are sitting in the same room. And you mentioned it today. You can be in a room and nobody's talking with each other.
There's so much distractions, isn't there? There's so much that you can do without having to communicate with someone.
Yeah.
And it seems, I think that for me, it's not about people not wanting to connect. I think they forgot how to connect. And also, you see, I think what we have to be aware of, that we're actually handing that down to the next generation.
That's right.
That's what I'm really concerned about, because I know when I was growing up, whether it be parents, neighbours, we had a sense of community and a connection. That's what connection means for me. It's not just in your home with your parents. Some people don't have parents, so some people don't have family. It's about connection, so it can be community, your environment, and all these things.
Absolutely.
All these things become ingrained, become part of who you are.
Even from the point of playing. When we were growing up, playing was in a community. So you were playing with, a whole bunch of kids in the street.
Yes.
You were pretty independent because you were outside on your own.
Yes.
A lot of the time you had no adult supervision. Exactly. You were told to come back when it gets dark.
Yes.
And you're probably late, and you get into trouble, and that was all part of that learning experience, and
Yes.
and getting on, and maybe even having the odd fight here and there or whatever, and all that kind of stuff. And
and also being aware that if Mrs. Jackson sees you, she will be telling you.
Exactly. So I know that kind of. So there was all these skills. I mean, these really are skills that you're learning. And when you said it about handing it down to the next generation, once your parents, because that's what our parents did as well.
Yes.
But once our parents don't have that, when parents don't have those skills anymore, then their kids are not going to have these skills anymore.
I think that's so vital, because I worked in schools, colleges, any areas that was seen to be broken down, I would go in and set up programs and deliver them. And that's what I found was, we all come from different backgrounds and different home environments.
Yeah.
And for some young people, they grow up in households where there is no talking, And I know that can be difficult, because I know my upbringing was, and I think it was not just mine. I think it was just that thing of children should be seen and not heard.
Right.
And I think that for me always I found stifling, because any child is going to question. And I don't think it's about rudeness and being rude to an adult asking them. They're asking because they're curious.
Absolutely.
They're asking because they're learning. They're asking because they're seeking. They want to know what's this, how it works. And I think what technology has done is given them that.
Right. So I think you're hitting on something really important, because what I don't want is for it to be kind of a generational thing when we say, oh, you know what, when we were growing up, everything was fantastic, and today it's all gone to pot. No, it's not.
No.
When we were growing up, there was a lot of not good stuff around, just like you mentioned now.
Yes, yeah.
But there was also a lot of quality, and why not pick the quality out of what we had and bring it in? And today also, the stuff that's really of high quality, and our children today are vastly much better educated than we ever were. They're far more challenged from the point of view of using their mind and their brain, and that's great. But if we combined both and we said, look, take this new generation, it's great what you're doing, but know that there's also human connection will be almost an antidote, if you like, to the suffering that you're also going through.
Yeah.
Because I mean, kids today are having 8, 9 years old anxiety and panic attacks, and they even know all the names and the diagnosis and the and they say
they'll actually look it up and tell you what they've actually got.
Yeah, absolutely, and they'll talk about and that is very sad, I think, because it's causing them a lot of suffering, and I think skills can be learnt as an antidote to that, and they're learnt by mixing with other people.
Yes.
Real people.
Exactly, and I think, and this is no disrespect to anyone, parents, to anyone, but what I find sometimes that is technology, I question when I see from as early as a 2-year-old with certain kinds of games, and what these games are actually teaching them concerns me a lot, because I find sometimes that it's different if you're buying that for an educational purpose,
right,
and there's going to be some guidance or some interaction then.
Yes.
Whether it be with a teacher, a parent, whoever, a guide or mentor.
Right.
But I find that from my experience working with a lot of young people, that they're left on their own entirely to do what they want with these devices and key into anything that they want. And there's always been a lot of mishaps where they've been able to link into something not intentionally, and next minute the parents got a bill for £300-400 because it's linked into things. That's what concerns me, because if that's an ongoing process that person's going through, what is going to be the end result? It loses that very aspect of wanting to connect with someone, because you know, it makes you become isolated. I think you go within your own mind,
right,
and you kind of
start living in your mind, don't you?
You're living in your mind, and yet it's real because we know how powerful the mind is.
That's right. It becomes your world.
Yes, yeah.
So let's go back to our idea. If we were going to go round and kind of try to get people together in a room, right, in different communities in different parts of the country, and we just go round, we just go on the road, right, and we kind of draw a route, and we say, right, how would you envision that?
You know, I think the simplest thing about being connected is saying hello to someone,
right,
and actually meaning it, not hello to get out of the way, or to kind of let's not go any further. I've said hello, bye. You know, and I think that gives people the opportunity to say hello, and if they don't, that's also an opportunity to look what's going on within them.
Right. Yeah.
Because I don't believe for where I come from, I always believe it starts with you and more of you and more of you.
Right.
Because we let things in, and then we, whether we become conditioned or we start conforming, we start believing in certain ways. You know, like an example would be, I've spoken to people, and their response to me has been at times, well, I don't like speaking to people. I don't want people to know my business, and why should I speak? Well, what's the point? And blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And it's just like, wow, you haven't actually given yourself a chance here, an opportunity to get to know somebody, or just to, you know, it's not about offloading on someone. I think that goes round a lot.
It's not dumping your stuff on somebody.
I don't want to hear about that. And I think, we know that we have to safeguard ourselves about certain kinds of things, because I don't want to be around certain kinds of things that are being spoken if inappropriate
if it's uncomfortable,
and things like that.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable, no. But I think these are all things that we can kind of set up, you know, and I think we have to be mindful about it. I don't think people think, oh yeah, well I know what I'm doing and no one can tell me what to do and this and that. But are you really in control over your own mindset? Because to me, at the end of the day, that's the only thing that's most important.
Yes.
Is you being in control of your mindset, not anyone else's.
That's right.
Not what anyone else wants to say. That's their perception of you. But if you let that in, or kind of condition yourself, because I think we can conjure up our own beliefs that are not really realistic.
Yeah, and I think you're hitting something important, because a lot of us think that we're in control of our own mindset, and what's actually happening is we have automatic behaviours, right? And so we're getting influenced by all sorts of things externally. We're getting influenced by all sorts of things internally, historically, things that have happened to us in our own personal histories. We're getting influenced by what's happening to us, whether it's our thoughts or emotions or physical sensations that go through our body, and that kind of takes over our behaviour, and a lot of the time we're behaving in a way that it's not really what we'd like to behave like, and it becomes automatic behaviour, but we think that's us, and then it might be even destructive to our own lives and our relationships with others around us. And so basically what we find is we're becoming more alone
and robotic, and because there has to be an explanation
for why people are suffering more and more and more. Now, when I was starting out quite a few years ago to study psychology and to study human behaviour and so on, I was always told in the books and the research, by the time we get to 2020, here we're now in 2020, but by the time we get to 2020, mental disorder, illness, whatever you want to call it, depression, anxiety, all these kind of things, are going to be the number one crippling factor in society, more than physical disease, more than cancer, more than heart, failure and so on. That is going to be the number one crippling factor. If you go into studies that are being done today, now it's 2020, we're not at the end of that, so it's just going to get worse and worse.
Yeah.
So there has to be an explanation. On one side, there are more pharmaceuticals than ever, and it's just there's more mental disturbance than ever.
Yes.
So that's kind of not matching up.
No.
On one side, on the other side, there is much more wealth in the world than there's ever been in the history of the world, and yet there's more suffering. So that's not kind of matching up either. Something kind of there's much more opportunity in the world, yet there's much more suffering in the world. There's much more availability, but yet there's much more choice. So it's not any really... these things are not kind of solving any problems for us, are they? When you think about it, I don't know if they're directly related or not, but I think if I take my own experiences in my life, like I was explaining to you earlier, and I've been, I grew up, I wouldn't say we were in dire poverty, but there were times when my father was made unemployed and we had no income. So things were pretty thin, and we all knew it, right? Yes. And there's been times in my life where I've been privileged enough to have money.
Yes.
Okay. So I've known kind of both these sides of things, and I've been lucky enough to be educated, or at least even appreciated, even when I wasn't educated, that I had something to offer in this world. So I was brought up, I was always brought up, I think, in a rich mindset, right?
Yes,
even though I didn't have materialistic things, but in a rich mindset.
Yes.
But I found that the money never changed me. Really didn't.
No.
I mean, I didn't. I won't say that I didn't enjoy it. Loved it, but it didn't change my mindset.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. I'm not embarrassed about it in any way. I think if it's done for the good, then it's great.
Yes.
But it didn't change my mindset. It didn't make me any happier as such. Kind of took a few problems away now and then, but it didn't make me happier. Even my, I really coveted university degrees. I didn't go to university until I was much, much older. But even when I got them, it didn't do the thing that I thought it was going to do. Right? So a lot of these things didn't do it for me the way that I expected it to happen. What did do it is when I was in trouble, or when I was feeling really low, or when I was in the dark periods of my life, what really made a difference to me was other people.
Yes, connection.
And definitely the connection. And it might be just even... we weren't always best friends. Best friends is great to have. Wasn't always family. Sometimes it was just a passing person that just said the right thing at the right time. Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. I would. What you just said is going to lead me on to this. So, I mean, I've, from my own personal upbringing and also working experience with other people, I always find that, I've always kind of questioned what makes a difference between two young people, whether they've grown in the same area, environment, have money, no money. What makes them different is how they develop in their own sense of self and their mindset. I've met people where they've been born into wealth. They've had everything possible, the education, academically, you know that they could be more or less anything.
Yeah.
They have no worries, no nothing, no cares, but yet they're totally unhappy, self-harming in so many different ways, whether it be drugs, literal self-harming, and all sorts going on. And then yet you can get the next person that's poverty-stricken,
Yep.
had nothing. That when I was growing up, you was easily labelled very quick that you'd be nothing, you'd amount to nothing.
Right.
You'd be long in the gutter where this was the kind of things.
And that's how people talk.
That's how people talked.
Yeah, yeah.
And from my experience, the ones that it seemed like would excel and be somewhere are the ones that have really struggled and suffered, and the ones that you would say were not going to succeed have succeeded. They've done quite well, not as in qualifications and labels and whatever it is, but just as within themselves being a human being, is because of that connection. That's what I truly believe. You've said it, whether we've got initials after our name, whether we've got certain titles, whether we live in a certain kind of home, in a certain kind of... does not make you. No. For me, that's just added bonuses, but then that's about my mindset, because if my mindset's different and I think that's the making of me, then it will be, because it's about me. Because have you ever gone through something in your life where someone says, I don't think that way, it's not like that, and you go, no, you don't understand, it is. Well, it is, because it's my mindset. Yes. You can't get into my mindset, but what you can perhaps do is help me to lift out of that, change it, which we can change, and that's now what I'm more or less guided to really looking at, because I've always been fascinated with, why do I feel sad? Why is it that a film could just come on instantly and change my whole way of thinking and feeling? Yeah. Or I could be so happy and I'm walking down the road and someone says, did you know Jack's just died? He was in the house for and oh my goodness. My whole day would be ruined. Yes. Not that person ruined it.
Yeah. No, because it's inside you and it changed. and I think that no matter who you are, what your circumstances are, you can have a rich, high-quality mindset that can change your life, basically, for the good.
There's no price on that. You can't buy it. You can't trade.
But you can work on it.
You can work on it.
You have to put effort into it. It doesn't come from nothing.
Well, it's like what I was saying. I love metaphors. I love giving things that are quite tangible that people can take away. If you want to be a great basketball player, you don't just sit in a chair, do you, eating cookies and say, yeah, I've got it. Right. I'm going to score a goal. Yeah. You get up at a certain time and you train. And you dedicate your mindset to that, until you actually see it manifest.
Yes. And that's it.
And that's it.
That's the secret here.
And that's
the secret sauce, isn't it?
It applies to everything.
It applies to everything. You gotta repeat and repeat. Yeah. People come and I hear them say all the time, I've got no confidence, or we've had more confidence, Confidence comes with being competent, and competent comes with just struggling, getting through, and you just got to keep going and going, repeating until you get better. Yeah. Now we're gonna close off now. What would you leave our listeners with the topic of the conversation tonight, which was really boiling right down to that connection? What would you want to leave them with tonight?
I've just got to really leave on this note. It was amazing, actually, because I thought, where did that golden nuggets thing come from? Right. And all of a sudden I remembered when I was a child, you could go to the sweet shop and there was a little sackcloth, and it was a lot of little chewing gums, very like golden nuggets. Right. And I thought, that triggered something off, the conversation, things that were meaningful to me in my childhood, and that's what I'm saying, and we all have that. Right. So I'd like to leave golden nuggets. One would be, is just become aware of your own mindset. Yeah. Listen to your thoughts. Because I think people tend to think that they're not in control over their mind, that everything that spills out is they can't do nothing about it, so they think there's something wrong with them. Yes. So just become aware of your own thoughts, and also be aware that you're in control over them. Yeah. And we can further down the line
develop
these things in different areas. And another one is changing your mindset, like doing something different. Say hello to someone at the bus stop. Do something extraordinary that you wouldn't normally do. That's not comfortable. Get out of that zone.
Yeah, I'd like to join you in that.
Yes.
I think dare to say hello. Simple as that.
Ooh.
Say hello, right? So or thank you even.
Yeah.
You know, next time you're at the supermarket and you're going through the you know, you're finishing off at the till. If you've not gone to the robot ones, if you've gone to the human ones, then, you know, just to say thank you.
I've really got to cut you there, because that was fantastic, because everything we've been talking about sums it up. Because I love going to the cashier still in the supermarket, and I go too. Crazy when, oh no, I don't want to go there, I don't want to put my card in, I want to talk, I want to say hello, thank you, can I have that 10p back, or, you know, and people don't get it. It's like, let's just be in and out. You know,
that just dare to have a human connection. Even if it's you know, I use public transport a lot. I decided many years ago. I mean, I could easily sell it as I want to be green and everything, but I didn't even think about that at the time. But but it's kind of fashionable now. But I did want to do it to be minimalist in a certain way. I thought, if I can do without a car, I'll do without a car. And it's been 3.5 years now, and that's why I take public transport, and I quite enjoy it. And if I need to take a taxi, I'll take a taxi. But I love saying thank you to the bus driver. I never leave the bus without saying thank you to the bus driver.
I just can't do it. I watch people get on and off and don't say anything.
And it's like, so what I'd like to leave from, you know, as a gift, I think it's a gift, leave with our listeners is say thank you and say hello.
And learn one new word. Change your vocabulary. Learn one new word. And mine, for a little while now, and I'm going deeper into it, is substance. Have you any substance? Right. What does substance mean to you?
Right. Wow. Okay. So let's leave it at that.
Great.
Thanks, Loraine.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.